Rosie, and today I'm going to be showcasing to you guys one of our brand new mascaras from our new 4-piece new mascara line launch. So we've got 4 mascaras within the range, so do stay tuned for all of our social media for a ton of different tutorials regarding each individual mascara. But today is going to all be about our dramatic volume, so that is the kind of makeup that this has been designed around. So I'm just going to be doing a little tutorial showcasing to you guys how to achieve this makeup, and then also giving you a bit more information and a demonstration on the exact application of this, so you can see exactly how it applies and the kind of effect that it achieves onto our natural eyelashes. So today we are going to be focusing on the Dramatic Volume Mascara. So before we kind of get into the application of that and go through the key points, I am going to be doing a little eye makeup tutorial on what I've done on this side. So I'm just going to be showcasing a few different products to achieve this look. I did want to go for something that is a little bit more dramatic, which then goes kind of hand in hand with the title and the use of this mascara, but I still wanted to use kind of lighter colours and do a kind of style where you can still visibly see the effect that this mascara is going to have on my eyelashes. So that is the look we're going to be carrying out today. So I'm just going to run through a few of the products that I'm going to be applying to create this makeup. So the first kind of 2 products I am going to be using are our HD cream liners. I'm going to be using the shades Aqua and Lapis Lazuli. Really beautiful kind of blues. I still want the look to be a little bit monochromatic, so underneath I've kept a lot of the kind of dramatic effect and more of that definition, but still in the same kind of colour palette. So I'm still using blues, just different undertones. So they're going to be kind of the 2 focus features of this makeup. And then on top of that, I'm going to be working with one of my favourite palettes. So this is the V2 Brights palette, which is part of our variety collection. And this is this gorgeous palette here. You've got a massive range of kind of your bright matte colours, really beautiful, and we're going to be focusing on these 3 here. So again, still monochromatic, still in the same colour palette, and a really beautiful kind of gradient of tones, which we're going to be showcasing on both the top and lower portion of the eye. So I have already gone on and put a little bit of concealer all over my lid to work as a base and just to kind of conceal any discoloration on the eye. So for this I have used the Digital Complexion Concealer. I have used the shade P05, which is more of that pink undertone. So I find that's a really great one to help kind of neutralise any discoloration, any veinings that I have on the eyelid. But because it has more of that kind of peachier undertone to it, I find it's really beautiful to use to kind of colour correct as well. So I've just applied that all over the lid. This product has more of like your silicone concentration in it, so it's self-setting, it feels extremely comfortable, it's really flexible on the eye, and I've also just worked that into my inner corner, again to help me kind of brighten. I have already completed my base makeup, but just to kind of further enhance a little bit more coverage, because we are going to be working the colour right into that inner corner. This concealer as well, it also contains phyto oil, so it feels extremely hydrating and smoothing on the skin, and it doesn't cling to any texture. I tend to have quite dry eyelids, quite dry skin in general really, so I don't like any products that kind of cling to any of these kind of textured or dry spots that I do have. So I find this one is a really great one to kind of get my eyelid all nice and even and ready for the application of my colours. So we are going to be using 2 of the HD cream liners. I'm first of all just going to start with the shade Aqua, which is one of my favourites. It's so vibrant, it's absolutely stunning. Again, this one is completely silicone based. It's a really beautiful multi-purpose cream. It's self-setting, it's smudge-proof, water-resistant, everything that you want in a product, especially for the eyes. Obviously, your eyes are constantly moving all the time, so it's really important to have something that not only is going to be extremely durable, but really comfortable and long-wearing on the lid as well. So a really, really beautiful one to use. I'm going to start by using more of this kind of pencil domed brush, like this one, so it's really going to help to achieve that shape that we want to create. I'm going to be focusing it more into this inner portion of the eye and then diffusing it and blending it out towards the centre. So I always tend to kind of do this with my eyes open and always check before I start to blend, just so I can see that the colour is still going to be visible once my eyes are open. And then I just take kind of a small domed brush, and I'm just going to use this to kind of diffuse and blend our edges. So as this product is more of that silicone base to it, it is self-setting, so you've still got a lot of versatility with it. You can kind of blend it, smoke it out, you can create a really crisp graphic line, and then I'd say you have about 45 seconds to a minute before it does start to kind of dry down and set. So you have got a lot of working time with it, and this is going to allow you to kind of build up that strength exactly where you want it, and then blur and diffuse those edges before it does fix and set down into place. This is also a really great option if you do have oilier eyelids, as it is extremely long wearing. And I'm just kind of blending it and bringing it up just past my natural kind of socket of my eye, again so that is nice and visible with both my eyes open and closed. Like so. And then again, just really kind of working it right into that inner corner of the eye, so it's going to connect up nicely with that kind of deeper blue. I'm just going to load my first brush back up again and place that directly on the outer portion of the eye. So right on that outer corner. I then get my second brush again and do the exact same. So just blending and diffusing it. So that kind of strongest amount of kind of pigment and impact of colour is going to be right on either corner of the eye, and then it's going to diffuse and blend into our skin tone. I think that's kind of the key thing to think about when you are going to be using these products, is your kind of blending of your edges. So as long as you kind of get your edges nice and soft before it sets, and then it's super easy to work with. So once I'm happy with that application and that blend of our cream liner, I then am going to go on top of it with our eyeshadow. So I just want to kind of further enhance the pigment a little bit further, add a little bit of kind of a different gradient and tone to it, and just punch it up slightly. You don't have to use a powder on top of these cream liners, they're completely self-setting, but it's just a nice way to kind of help that kind of more gradient effect, add a little bit of a different undertone and a slight kind of more of an intense punch to the eye makeup. So for this I'm going to be using the V2 Brights palette, which is a gorgeous 18 colours selection in here, and we're going to be focusing on these two. So I'm going to be mixing the shades Caribbean and Aqua, which tie in really nicely with the colour of our cream, as you can see here. So I'm just going to be loading it up on that same kind of pencil brush that I used to blend out my edges. Again, these are completely matte. I'm keeping this eye look completely matte in finish, and I'm just going to stamp it directly on top of where we've placed that cream. I'm kind of focusing the lighter colour on the kind of inner portion before we get to that kind of skin tone, and then our more deeper shade, we're going to be focusing that right into the inner portion of the eye. These eyeshadows are beautiful, they've got a really strong impact of colour, a really intense amount of pigment, but they do need something to kind of grip onto, which is why the HD cream liners work beautifully as a base, or even the concealer in general. So you can kind of just keep kind of stamping, layering it, blending it until you're completely happy with the finish of your eye makeup. And I tend to hold the brush a little bit further down the handle just so it's not applying too much pressure to the eye. That kind of allows the hair to kind of do all the work for you, and you get a really beautiful kind of soft blend that way. And again, just blending it slightly above the socket of my eye. So once we're happy with the kind of impact and brightness that we've created on the top, we are going to be going in and working to create more of that kind of contrast on the lower portion of the eye. So for this I'm going to be using another HD cream liner in Lapis Lazuli, which is a really kind of deep inky blue. It's absolutely beautiful. It's a really great alternative if you don't want to use black and you're kind of doing more of a monochromatic look, or you don't want something that is as intense and rich. Then this is a really gorgeous one to go for. So I'm first of all just going to get a small pencil brush again and more of my kind of flat shader brush, and I'm going to really work this just on my lower lash line, just below my waterline. Take my clean pencil brush and just use that kind of diffuse and blend out that colour. So it's really nice. You can create a really kind of sheer finish with this, or you can create something that is more opaque and dense. I always like to blend with a clean brush, so that way I'm just kind of keeping that pigment exactly where I want it. And using more of like a flat shader brush for your application is great, because you can get right under the lower lashes and get really kind of close to that waterline. And this is just going to work as a base for our shadow to then kind of grip, adhere onto, so we can achieve more of that kind of smoky gradient. And I really tend to kind of work it right into this outer corner of the eye, just so it connects nicely. And then we can start to go in with our deeper shade of blue. So the colour that I'm using is AB6, which is this one here. Again, still really matte, and it ties in really beautifully with our cream liner. It's more of a little bit kind of like a brighter, more vibrant tone, so it really complements really beautifully. So I'm just going to load that up again onto my pencil brush. These ones are great if you are going to be doing more of that kind of smoky detail underneath the lower lash line. These are the Blue Master 8906 brush. The whole Blue Master range is completely vegan. There's a gorgeous selection of brushes, so they're definitely kind of worth looking into. And I just kind of lightly start to build and smoke that out. So the first place that I do tend to apply the colour is either in the middle or the outer corner of my eye, just because wherever I firstly place that brush is going to give us the kind of strongest amount of pigment, and I want it to kind of be softer as it comes in to meet with that blue. So whatever I've then got left on my brush, I then work it to connect together, just so it's not too harsh. And again, you're going to get more of that kind of gradient effect. So then once I'm happy with that impact of colour that we've created, I'm going to go back into these two lighter colours, which are the ones that we used on the top lid. And I'm just going to put these colours directly underneath where that kind of deepest blue starts. So we are going to naturally get that kind of soft gradient. It's almost going to work as a little bit of a transition. So it ties in really nicely with our colour that we've used on the top eye. So once I'm happy with that, we're then going to go and place this into the waterline, just to create more of that kind of dramatic smoky effect. If you didn't want to kind of close up the eye and you maybe have smaller eyes, and then you could maybe use a nude colour, you can use a brighter colour, you could maybe use a contrasting colour. There's so many different options that you could do. I am going to keep it more kind of smoky, so that's why I'm going to be using this onto my waterline. So I just like to take a little bit of an angle brush, coat it on both sides, and then I just like to stamp this into my waterline so it's nice and comfortable. I get really watery eyes, so I find this is kind of the best application method for me. Or if I am working on a client, it seems to be a really great way for application. And then I'm going to take that right into the inner portion of the eye, and again to meet up with that bright aqua. Whatever I've then kind of got left on my brush, I take it underneath my lower lashes and just kind of run it back and forth, just so it kind of masks any kind of skin tone that may be showing through. I think that can be quite distracting, and especially if you are using a darker colour, it can really kind of stand out. So this just helps to kind of blend everything together, and you get a really nice kind of cohesive smoky effect to the eye. So now what I'm going to do is take one of our eyeshadow mattes. So this one is in the shade Beige, which is a really kind of beautiful cream tone. And what I'm going to do with this is just stamp it directly on top of where we've got that kind of clean skin showing through. Again, just to kind of crisp it up a little bit, to make it nice and bright. You could place like a shimmer here or something if you want more of that kind of intense effect. I think I'm going to keep it clean of product, again, so just so you guys can kind of see the exact effects that this mascara is going to achieve. And I do want to keep this all matte, but going in with maybe one of the like holographic pigments or pure pigment metallic would give you a really kind of beautiful contrast in finish. So before we actually go into the application of the mascara, I just want to come a little bit closer just so you guys again can see the finished look, and also without a mascara, so you can see exactly what my lashes look like. And then we will actually go on to the application of the mascara, which is our dramatic volume, which comes like this in this tube here. So there's 4 different mascaras that we're having within this launch, and this is our dramatic volume. So again, like the other 4, packaging is exactly the same. You've got that kind of internal click, so you know that once you finish using your mascara, everything is nice and airtight and your mascara isn't going to dry up too quickly. So each of the mascaras have been designed to give your lashes a completely different effect. So again, I think mascara is an extremely personal product. It can be very dependent on maybe the look that you're doing, the media that you're working in, and also the effect that you do want to achieve on your natural lashes. Obviously everybody's lashes are completely different, so it can be really kind of a personal product on the effect that you do want to achieve. So the Dramatic Volume Mascara has been created to give you that really intense effect to the lashes, give you a lot of volume. Again, like the others, it contains your triple black formula, so it is really going to give you that strength and impact of pigment. So this is the wand that we have here. So it's kind of more of like a voluminous wand. There's a ton of different bristles which are going to be able to coat and hug every individual lash. So even though this mascara is going to give you a really kind of strong amount of volume and impact to the lash, the wand isn't too large. So I find that it's still going to be able to give you that precision for you to get right into that inner corner, right into the outer corner. It kind of tapers when it comes to the top, so that's going to allow you to kind of get every single individual eyelash. So this mascara also contains a lot of your thickening agents and ingredients, so again it is going to be able to kind of add volume and drama to every single individual eyelash. Like I kind of showcased to you guys at the start, these are my kind of natural lashes. There's not a lot going on. Before application when it comes to mascara, I always tend to give my lashes a little bit of a curl, just to kind of, I can see exactly what I'm working with, especially if I'm not going to be applying false lashes. I find it's a really nice way to kind of help you with that separation. This is also going to give you a gorgeous amount of separation and more of kind of like a fan-like effect to your eyelashes. So I find with a lot of different kind of volumizing mascaras and kind of thickening agents within mascaras, they can achieve quite a clumpy effect to the lashes, especially if you are going to be layering maybe 2 to 3 coats. I find with this it doesn't do that, which I will showcase to you guys. It is more of like an emulsion formula, so it's got your water, it's got your oil to give you that really kind of creamy like consistency, but it also contains a concentration of silicone, so it's extremely long wearing. I find it doesn't kind of transfer. I have quite long bottom lashes. I don't know if you guys can see, they kind of almost touch just underneath my eye, so I find that to be a little bit of a struggle when it comes to mascaras. Sometimes they do transfer and kind of create those kind of little dots, which is never great, but because this has got that kind of silicone content to it, I find it doesn't achieve that. It's a really kind of long wearing formula. It's not waterproof, which I love. I'm not the biggest fan of waterproof mascara. I find that they can kind of dry out my eyelashes, but also I find that it can be a nightmare to remove. So the removal of this mascara is something that is really key, and I will be showcasing to you guys a little clip exactly how it does remove, because it's a really cool feature. It's one of my favourite kind of things about it. So we are going to be going into the application of it, so I'm not talking for too long. So as I said, this is the wand, more of that kind of cone shape, and I am just going to give my lashes a little bit of a curl beforehand. Okay, so now I've curled my lashes, we're going to go on with the application of it. So what's one really nice thing about this as well, I find that the mascara wand doesn't pick up like an overload of product, which I think can then kind of go hand in hand with creating that kind of clumpy effect, which we don't want to the lashes. So it's really nice that it kind of does distribute the correct amount for the application. It's nothing that you're going to have to kind of wipe off and waste product. So I'm just going to get a mirror just so I can see exactly what I'm doing. So when it comes to mascara, I always tend to kind of blink it through my lashes. So the really nice thing about this as well is the kind of bristles are quite kind of short, and there's a lot of them. So I find that I can almost kind of roll it back to get right to the kind of base of my lash. So this is going to ensure that it's going to create a really beautiful kind of full effect. And this way I find that the kind of majority of the product is right at the base, and then it kind of feathers through to the tip. And because it has got that kind of cone shape, you can get right into the inner portion of the eye. So again, just kind of rolling that back towards the base of the lash and then kind of bringing it forward. And I kind of do this throughout the whole of the eyelash. And what's really nice about this formula as well is that even though it gives you this kind of beautiful impact and that kind of really kind of full effect, kind of thickening effect to the eyelashes, the formulation isn't too wet, which I find then can kind of tie in with your lashes that can quite clumpy and transferring, which this will not do. So again, I'm just kind of zigzagging it through the eyelash, and then what I do is kind of take the cone shape, so right the kind of that tapered effect right at the end, and I just kind of use that on its own to really kind of work and give like almost like a second and third coat right to the kind of outer portion of my eye, which I find helps to really kind of elongate. I find this gives a really nice amount of length to the eyes as well. If I look down, you guys might be able to see that a little bit better. I also do the exact same on my lower lashes. So again, you can either use it completely direct like this, or you can turn it so it's vertical and then just kind of run it through. So again, like I mentioned, it is a quick drying formula, so I find that it doesn't transfer onto my lower lashes. And because it has got that silicone concentration to it, it is extremely long wearing and long lasting on the lashes, but it's not waterproof, so it's going to really help that kind of ease of removal. So I'm just going back in just to show you guys how it does kind of layer and build. If I get a little bit closer, you might be able to kind of see compared to the other side. It does really give you that kind of instant drama to the eye, which is what we want. So that is just kind of like your instant comparison between both eyes. As you can see, that kind of triple black formula does really give that kind of solid impact to the eyelashes. So now I'm just going to repeat the same on the other eye. I always like to kind of, instead of application facing away from me, I always tend to hold the brush so the kind of more tapered effect is right near the inner corners of my eye. I find that really does help with the application and the way that it does sit on your eyelashes as well. And then again, my bottom lashes, I'm just going to run that kind of tapered cone tip right along my bottom ones. That is just the kind of finish, impact and effect that it has given to my natural eyelashes. So I hope you guys can see, and it translates well on camera, that really kind of intense volume that it's given. It's given us more of like a thickening separation to the lash, and also that triple black formula to give us a really kind of dramatic, intense impact to the lash line. And also it kind of makes your lashes look lovely and thick and full. So yeah, that is just the application of it. I find it really nice as well because it's extremely lightweight. So we did curl our lashes at the start, and I find that that curl is still visible throughout the lash. I find that my lashes don't tend to kind of flop or weigh down throughout the day. I find that sometimes if a mascara is quite dense and it's a little bit too thick, it can really weigh down my eyelashes. I find that doesn't happen with this. I find as well, I've worn this, I've done like day tests, I've done night tests with it, just to see exactly how it does last and perform on the eyes. And I find that it doesn't tend to flake either. So like I said, it feels really comfortable, it's super quick drying. Even though it is quick drying, because it has that silicone, I find it really does kind of coat every individual hair. It really kind of hugs every lash. And it doesn't kind of weigh it down, it doesn't smudge, it doesn't flake, anything like that. It's a really great formulation, and I think removal is a really kind of key aspect which I adore about this whole mascara range. So all of the mascaras, they include this kind of really unique removal. I find with some mascaras they can either be a nightmare to remove, or they can smudge everywhere and create a mess, and then you have to then get that off with your cleanser, and it can just be really frustrating, especially if you are going to be using a mascara that is giving you this volume with a really intense black effect. Sometimes it can not remove correctly and smudge everywhere, which this doesn't do. So this mascara and all of the other three within the line have been designed to come off in almost like little balls. So they clump together, they remove really beautifully off the lashes. There's no need for kind of tugging or pulling at the eyes. I find with removal, I always like to opt for something that's more of an oil base. So I find that I'm not kind of tugging or rubbing in my eyes too much. This is a really great one to use. As you can see, this is extremely well loved. I do definitely need a new one. So this is the Kryolan Eye Makeup Remover. It is an oil-based remover, and this gets off absolutely everything. It's a really fab one to use, especially if you are using more durable, long-wearing products, especially on the eyes. You want something that's really kind of easy and gentle and really kind of respectful on the eyes as well. You don't want anything that's too abrasive or that's just going to kind of, you know, create irritation. This will not do that. So this is the remover that I'm going to be opting for today. So what I like to do is just kind of saturate this onto a cotton pad. I will then hold it onto my eye and just kind of allow the oils to kind of work into the creams and the mascara, and then when I kind of remove it away, you guys are going to be able to see exactly how the mascara removes. So I have saturated this cotton pad with our eye makeup remover, which again, like I mentioned, is our oil base. So I'm first of all just gonna stop and hold it onto the eye like so, just to kind of allow like a few seconds for it to really kind of help to lift off our creams, as you can see there. And then I'm just gonna be working it through the lashes. As you can see there, it comes off in these little kind of balls and beads. It's super easy to get off and remove. That's one thing, like I've mentioned, I'm not a fan of a waterproof mascara because it is a nightmare to get off. So this is kind of the best of both. You kind of get that durability and that long wear from that silicone content, but nothing that's going to be like a nightmare to kind of get off. You'll find that it's not smudging around my eyes either. It's really gentle. Like I mentioned, this oil-based remover is really easy to get off all of your kind of durable, long-lasting products. But the removal is just great. Like, it just makes everything so much easier for when it comes to actually removing your makeup. So you're not kind of smudging mascara all around your face, or if you are a makeup artist and you kind of just need to remove an eye makeup and do another design, it's a really great one because you're not having to worry about kind of touching up and removing mascara that may have got down onto your base too much. And then if I just take a little dry cotton pad here, I'm just going to take a little bit of the Clean & Care Natural Micellar Water and just smooth this around the eye area. So this is just going to remove any of that oil-based residue. And then we've gone back to our clean mascara-free lashes. So I hope you guys can kind of see, and it translates well, and how easy that is actually to remove. So if you are somebody that kind of gets quite frustrated when it comes to removals of mascara, there's definitely going to be one within this range. So that's the one great thing as well, is all 4 mascaras are going to have this feature to them when it comes to the removal. So that is the finished makeup look and tutorial about the Dramatic Volume Mascara. So I hope this video was beneficial to you guys and gave you a little bit more of an insight exactly on how this mascara does perform and achieve onto natural lashes. I think mascara, like I've mentioned, is a very personal product. It can be very dependent on the effect that you do want to create on your natural lashes. So that's why I think it's great. You've got 4 different options, you've got 4 different types for whatever kind of style and effect that you do want to achieve. So do stay tuned on all of our social media platforms. There'll be a ton of different content and IGTVs and lives based around these mascaras, so you can see the exact kind of instant impacts and effects that they are going to achieve onto your eyes.